Jimmy Kimmel live show resumed last night in its usual spot on the ABC network. Now, I have been advocating for the position that this boycott, and indeed any boycott, should be lifted as soon as the target complies with the demands of the boycott. However, I have been receiving a number of comments wherein people express the sentiment that they still want to teach Disney and ABC a lesson for ever having capitulated to the demands of the Trump regime. Some folks took a thoughtful middle ground and said, let's just wait and make sure that the Jimmy Kimmel live show doesn't return as some sort of whitewashed, cowering, butt-kissing mega propaganda show. I believe Jimmy Kimmel put that question to rest last night.
This show is not important. What is important is that we get to live in a country that allows us to have a show like this.
And while there was some apologizing,
you understand that it was never my intention to make light of the murder of a young man.
I think Mr. Kimmel and his team wanted to make certain that there was no question where they stood on the issues of free speech or the Trump regime.
I've had the opportunity to meet and spend time with comedians and talk show hosts from countries like Russia, and countries in the Middle East, who tell me they would get thrown in prison for making fun of those in power, and worse than being thrown in prison. They know how lucky we are here. Our freedom to speak is what they admire most about this country. And that's something I'm embarrassed to say I took for granted until they pulled my friend Steven off the air and tried to coerce the affiliates who run our show in the cities that you live in to take my show off the air. That's not legal. That's not American. That is un-American, and it is so dangerous.
Ladies and gentlemen, we cannot forget the fact that Disney and ABC were the ones who were hosting the Jimmy Kimmel show in the first place. They were the ones who were standing up to and speaking out against the Trump regime. That's why they were targeted by the regime. Now that Jimmy Kimmel is back on the air, I am suggesting that those who genuinely support free speech need to rally behind both ABC and Disney. Believe me, Donald Trump would love for us to do his dirty work for him. He would love if we were the ones to put woke Disney or ABC out of business. Then he would be able to say, I didn't do it. I support free speech. Heck, the second executive order I passed was to stop government suppression of free speech. It's the people who put Disney out of business. They obviously didn't like their woke content. I will reiterate that while the United States of America has fought fascism before, it was always overseas in military campaigns. The U.S. has never before fought fascism within its own borders. The Trump regime represents an unprecedented threat, not only to American freedom and democracy, but to the stability of the entire free world. So the people's resistance needs to preserve the most powerful tools it has available to it, and the ability to boycott is probably the most powerful tool that the people have at our disposal. We absolutely should not render that tool ineffective by demonstrating that we will not honor our commitment to lift a boycott if the target of the boycott complies with our demands. That, ladies and gentlemen, is how a boycott works. Let me put it this way. If you had one brave kid in your school who was standing up to a bully who was terrorizing everyone in the schoolyard, you would not abandon that brave kid if he lost one round in a fight, but then got back up. So why would you do that as an adult? The fact that ABC brought back Jimmy Kimmel 5 days after they preempted his show indefinitely is a big win for the resistance. The people successfully boycotted Disney and ABC. Disney's stock lost more than $7 billion in 5 days. And then Disney and ABC agreed to bring back Jimmy Kimmel. ABC and Disney have complied with our demands, so now is the time to lift the boycott. Take the win. get behind these companies and support them as they continue to stand up to and speak out against the Trump regime. In this moment, none of us can afford to confuse our allies with our enemies. Thanks for watching.